What's going on, guys? It's Tyro here, and today we're talking about what if Izuku was Red Hood. Hope y'all enjoy, and let's get into it. Izuku just got back from saving Koda. Aizawa told Izuku as he was running that everybody can fight the villains if encountered. Izuku ran trying to find Kaichan, but instead found a rampaging Dark Shadow. But lucky for Izuku, a rampaging Bakugo was just behind the Dark Shadow. Izuku explains that the villains are trying to kidnap Bakugo. As they were talking about protecting Bakugo, Bakugo asks where Izuku went. Mr. Compress shows himself above the trees, and a wild chase ensues. But at the end, they only got Tokiyami back and was taunted by Dabi, with Izuku getting pulled into the darkness. Izuku was teleported to a warehouse. When Shigaraki complains that they got the wrong guy, All For One states that Izuku might have some information on UA. Izuku then states that he'll never tell them anything, no matter what. As All For One then says, well, if he's not going to talk, we'll make him talk. After a little bit, a man comes in for the sole purpose of torturing Izuku. And Izuku had to look at the man knowing that maybe somebody would come for help. 1 year goes by. Class 1A, now graduating to Class 2A, are still worried about Izuku as they could never find him. They're also worried about All Might because after his fight for All For One, Class 2 got a knock on their door. It's Eri and Mirio. They were there to thank Bakugo for saving them. In this timeline, Bakugo, after the disappearance of Izuku, and then the powerless All Might being shown after his fight with All For One, decided to take steps into Izuku's way. He became more of a nicer person, and not only that, he went for the Serenade agency with Mirio. After that, pretty much everything that happened in the original story happened except for Bakugo was in place of Izuku. After remembering what he's done for them, he expresses that it was no problem, and it's his job as a hero. After that, Mr. Aizawa enters the dorms with a saddened face. The class asks what's wrong, as Mr. Aizawa explains that Izuku has been confirmed dead after a warehouse spontaneously exploded, and they found Izuku's body at the scene. Meanwhile, as this is going on, Izuku wakes up in a hospital. The doctors are freaked out as he was supposed to be dead, but Izuku just knocks him out and tries to find a hoodie. He does eventually find one, a red hoodie. He walks around for a bit, trying to get graphs of what time it is, where he is, and even who is he, as the torture has left him in the complete darkness for a year. All he can feel is hatred for his classmates and every hero that wasn't there to save him when he was needed. He eventually finds an abandoned house with a couple of fridges and all that. Izuku decides that if he can't be a hero, he should be a vigilante. He had two goals in mind: killing All For One and killing the person who dared torture him for an entire year. He walks in and he finds multiple things that bring him back to the memories that he endured as torture. The objects can range from such things as an open socket of electricity to a crowbar, as he remembers every torture device was used on him. The torture for Izuku could have ranged from a lot of things: beating him, electrocuting him, nearly drowning him, anything as long as it was a near-death experience. 2 weeks go by, and Bakugo and Todoroki were on patrol. After Tsunade's death, Bakugo decided to go for the Endeavor agency of Todoroki, as Todoroki was the only one that could not pass the hero licensing test. They were walking around for a little bit, It was getting near night, and Todoroki suggested that they start going back to their dorms. But Bakugo interferes and states, "Hey, look over there." They saw a man getting robbed. Before they could act on what they saw, a man wearing a red mask punches the robber, and as fast as he entered was as fast as he disappeared, running away on the rooftops. A chase ensued. The red man and the red mask, they neither know who he was. They don't remember anyone having that sort of hero costume. Todoroki insists that he might be a vigilante, and if not, they'll say sorry later. As Bakugo got close enough, he tried using the explosion to knock the guy out, but it didn't work. The red mask blocked it. As he stuck out his fingers and flicked the air, causing air pressure to go towards Bakugo. After that, the explosions on Bakugo's hands seemingly disappeared for a few seconds as Bakugo had to regain his ground. Todoroki chased on ice as the man in the red hood then got back his arms and threw a punch with enough power to break his ice, causing his balance to go off. The man in the red hood then ran away into the shadows. "Damn it, we lost him," Bakugo would state. As Todoroki stated, maybe he is a hero, but is to go back to the Endeavor Agency and ask. Bakugo thought that his fighting style was a bit weird. It reminded him of Izuku, the way he flicked his fingers, the way he moved, the way he threw that punch. Todoroki stated that Izuku's quirk was closer to All Might's, so maybe there's someone else that might have around the same quirk. There's no way of knowing, as the guy seemingly had superhuman speed. We have to remember, the whole class does not know about Full Kowlin, and even Todoroki couldn't understand it. Also, Bakugo does not know about One for All, as he couldn't piece it together, because he wasn't there with Izuku during the fight of All for One and All Might. They go back to Endeavor and ask around if this man with a red mask does in fact register as a hero. Endeavor states that there's no file on him, so he was a vigilante. The guys did okay, and needed to go back to the dorms, which they did. They went back tired. They were walking all day, and then they had to use most of their energy trying to get that red hood guy. As the class saw, they questioned how their day went, as Todoroki told them about the chase with a man in a red hood. All they could do was bow their heads. Bakugo went to his dorm room and started talking to himself, stating that he needs to find Izuku. He is not going to accept that he's dead. Izuku's not that weak, he would think to himself. He could handle his explosions, so an explosion that can blow up a house should be nothing to him, as he began to think about his old friend. The next day, Bakugo and Todoroki encountered the guy in the red hood one more time. They were patrolling when they saw a group of robbers surround a man in the red hood and mask. They decided to eavesdrop on the conversation before acting. One of the men who were trying to rob this guy stated that, "You're the red hood, right? We heard a lot about you. You keep interfering with our plans." As one guy with a crowbar, one guy with a taser, and one guy with a gun state that he needs to stop or that he's gonna have a world of pain. The guy in the red hood stated that he can't even feel pain anymore. I know those little toys are not gonna hurt. As he began to fight the group. His fighting style mimicked Izuku's shoot style, but in this story, Bakugo and Todoroki wouldn't know what that looks like, which kind of eased their thought of Izuku possibly being this guy. They only thought of it for a second, but a second can mean a lot. The man then ran away, using similar jumps to Izuku as he did in the alleyway that one night, running away on the rooftops. Bakugo and Todoroki chased the man in the red hood one more time, yelling, "It's against the law to be a vigilante, and you must stop." The guy in the red hood then stated, "Not these guys again. When are you gonna learn that I don't need help?" Bakugo and Todoroki then continue chasing. Bakugo tries using his howitzer impact, but Todoroki tells him that could destroy a couple houses. We don't need that right now. As Todoroki then jumps off his ice to create a bigger glacier, as it caught the man in the red hood. Bakugo tried taking off his mask, but before that, he was blown away by air pressure, destroying the ice around him. And then Bakugo tried using hand-to-hand combat, but this man was clearly physically strong. This fight would mimic the fight that Izuku and Bakugo would have in the original timeline, with him using his shoot style and Bakugo being too reckless with his quirk, which eventually led to them fighting on the streets. Luckily, that day wasn't as busy, so it's easier for Bakugo to dodge civilians. Meanwhile, Todoroki was using ice to try and cover, protecting even more civilians. Their fight would last on a good 5 minutes before the man in the red hood decided to use a familiar move that Bakugo was all too well used to. The man somehow knew Bakugo's main fighting hand was on his right. The man used a judo throw to knock Bakugo on the ground, and then he jumped on the rooftops one more time, running away, making it a successful escape. Bakugo was stunned. He was confused. It almost seemed like that fight was too familiar. Bakugo wondered why he knew this man's fighting style all too well, figuring it was just similar to an old friend. And then, getting judo throwed like that. It's either this guy wanted to mimic Izuku from the sports festival, but then thought, well, maybe judo throws are just acceptable where he comes from. Todoroki asks what happened, as Bakugo is still stunned, as he ushers the name Izuku. And that's where I'm going to end off this video. Next, I'm going to do another Naruto What If. I'm going to continue What If Naruto was banished tomorrow, or probably the next day after that. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a nice day.